Good evening and welcome to Scotland at 7. My name is Lewis McGlynn. First up tonight, our Ukraine update on day 434 of the Russian invasion. Moscow has accused Kiev of attempting an overnight drone strike on the Kremlin with the aim of killing the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin said on Wednesday that 2 drones had been used in the attack, but they had been disabled by Russian defences. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky responded to the Russian accusations that Ukraine was behind the drone attack by saying, "We don't attack Putin or Moscow, we fight on our territory." Russia launched a third nightly round of attacks on Kiev in 6 days, authorities in the Ukrainian capital said today, with a drone hitting the building in the Dnipropetrovsk region as Moscow steps up attacks on its neighbour. Ukraine's Air Force Command said its forces destroyed 21 of the 26 Iranian-made Shahed drones launched by Russia, while Kiev officials said air defence systems eliminated those sent over the city, with no initial reports of casualties or destruction. At least 3 people have been killed and 5 wounded in a Russian strike on a supermarket in Kherson. A fuel storage facility near a key bridge in Russia's southwestern region of Krasnodar was set on fire in the early hours of Wednesday, but the regional governor said there was no initial reports of casualties. Finnish media is reporting that President Zelensky has arrived in Helsinki. Ukraine's president is expected to give a joint press conference with President Sauli Niinisto and have meetings with other leaders from the region. A 20-year-old man from Mykolaiv has been detained under suspicion of aiding Russian forces by informing them about the bases of the Ukrainian defence forces in the region. Russia's security services are claiming to have foiled a plot to attack leaders of the Russian-imposed government in Crimea. Ukraine has formed 8 new storm brigades with up to 40,000 troops to take part in a future counter-offensive amid growing speculation about its timing and whether it can inflict serious defeats on Russia. An explosion derailed a freight train for the 2nd day in a row in the western Bryansk region of Russia, bordering Ukraine on Tuesday, sending both the locomotive and some cars off the tracks. The US is planning to announce a new $300 million military aid package for Ukraine that will, for the first time, include short-range air-launched rocket, which could help Ukraine weaken Russian ground positions and provide advancing Ukrainian ground forces with air support for a spring offensive. Russia's defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, said on Tuesday his country was inflicting heavy blows to Ukraine across the entire front line, but the supply of weapons was crucial to success. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Tuesday that German-supplied weapons were already being used in the Donbas region. The Donbas is not Russian territory. At least 6 Russian regions have scrapped 9th of May Victory Day parades to mark the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany amid fear of Ukrainian attacks. Our top story tonight. First Minister holds summit on tackling poverty. Tax, targeted support and tough budget choices will all need to be considered as part of bold measures to tackle poverty, First Minister Humza Yousaf said today after meeting poverty campaigners. The anti-poverty summit convened by the First Minister saw political leaders from across the Scottish Parliament meet with people who have direct experience of poverty, campaigners and third sector organisations. Speaking after the event, the First Minister said, "I called the summit to listen to the views of a wide range of partners, particularly those at the sharp end of the cost of living crisis, and with direct experience of poverty about what they believe needs to be done. Everything I heard confirmed that poverty and the cost of living crisis is the biggest challenge facing this country, one that has been exacerbated by some of the UK government's actions and inactions. We have already acted to tackle the pressure on those most in need, for example our game-changing £25 per week per child Scottish Child Payment, carers allowance supplement and winter heating payment. But we must do more. We must be bold in considering future tax decisions. It's not enough to wish poverty away, we have to be hard-headed and realistic about what can be done, and then we have to focus on making it happen. That means the debate must now be about tax, targeting and tough choices. We are listening and we will not shy away from the decisions needed to reduce poverty." SNP leader Humza Yousaf has today confirmed that the party has secured the services of auditors to complete the work for the publication of accounts. Contracts are in place for both the party and for the Westminster Group's accounts. This work will be taken forward by AMS Accounts Group. SNP leader Humza Yousaf said, "I am pleased to confirm that we have secured the services of auditors to take forward our accounts. We take our statutory obligations extremely seriously, so it is welcome news that AMS Accountants Group will complete the accounts for both the party and the SNP Westminster Group. There is hard work ahead, but it is really encouraging to have them on board as we work towards challenging deadlines. I am very grateful for the work of our new party treasurer, Stuart MacDonald, in securing the auditor's services." SNP Westminster leader Stephen Flynn MP said, I'm pleased to confirm the SNP Westminster Group now has auditors in place, and I'm confident will meet the deadline as in previous years. An SNP MP has called on the UK Government to stop dithering and rejoin the top European research scheme Horizon. Alan Smith MP has written to the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology and has also raised the prospect of the UK rejoining the €95.5 billion programme to the Minister for Europe and North America at Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Questions. Thanks to Horizon, EU research programmes saw 1.5 million collaborations from more than 150 countries. 84% of investments addressing sustainable development goals and €48.2 million directed to coronavirus research and innovation just 7 days after the first EU case was reported. Despite only being home to around 6% of the world's population, the EU contributes to 17% of global research and development and 25% of all high-quality scientific publications. Horizon Europe aims to promote scientific breakthroughs that will tackle the climate crisis and treat cancer, as well as restore the degradation of nature on land and at sea, among other things. Commenting, Alan Smith MP said, "I am puzzled by the UK Government's approach to this. There's cross-party unity across this House, and the Minister is missing an opportunity for our support. We all want to see our universities back into Horizon in Europe. We all want to see the thousands of jobs and hundreds of millions of pounds guaranteed. Professor Ian Gillespie from University Scotland was in Brussels just a couple of weeks ago, highlighting the £900 million that Scotland's universities got from the last funding programme. There's a willingness in Brussels, there's a willingness in Scotland. When will the UK Government match that ambition?" Beam Afolami, the former deputy chair of the Conservative Party, has been criticised for failing to declare he was paid £2,000 a month to chair a pressure group lobbying Rishi Sunak. Mr. Afolami declared in the Register of Interests that one of his private clients was a public affairs firm, WPI Strategy. But the Conservative MP did not mention that they were paying him for his work, running the regulatory reform group of MPs. As chair of the group, Afolami has written to the Prime Minister calling for regulators to be better held to account and pressed Sunak for change at Prime Minister's question time in the House of Commons. Former Tory Cabinet Minister Liam Fox was also criticised for lobbying the Prime Minister on behalf of a business group that pays him £1,000 per hour. MPs are, in general, not permitted to carry out paid lobbying that could deliver financial benefit to clients. However, Afolami appears to have made use of loopholes, allowing parliamentarians to carry out paid advocacy if they are a member of an association that is carrying out the lobbying, or if the work would benefit a sector as a whole rather than a specific company. Both Afolami and Fox appear to have kept within the rules through these exceptions. Afolami launched the Regulatory Reform Group, an organisation of MPs, earlier this year and brought up its work in the Commons in February without mentioning that he was paid by WPI for his work with the group. Speaking at Prime Minister's questions, Afolami said, "I thank the Prime Minister for supporting the launch of the new Regulatory Reform Group. Will he commit to working with our group on two specific areas? First, to improve the accountability and responsiveness of our regulators to stakeholders and Parliament, and secondly, to improve the economic potential in key growing areas of the economy such as financial services, artificial intelligence and advanced manufacturing." In April, Afolami also launched a report for the group suggesting that a lack of democratic oversight of regulators is holding back UK productivity and economic growth, with the author listed as an economist at WPI Strategy, with editorial control from MPs on the group. The report was funded by one of WPI's clients, Pension Insurance Corporation. Afolami declared on his register of MP's interests that he is paid £2,000 a month to give professional advice with respect to property management, mediation, services, and legal and financial matters through family partnership, listing his sole clients as WPI Strategy. But he did not link this work to his role as chair of the Regulatory Reform Group. Media freedom is in dire health in a record number of countries, according to the latest annual snapshot, which warns that disinformation, propaganda and artificial intelligence pose mounting threats to journalism. the World Press Freedom Index revealed a shocking slide with an unprecedented 31 countries deemed to be in a very serious situation, the lowest ranking in the report, up from 21 just 2 years ago. Increased aggressiveness from autocratic governments, and some that are considered democratic, coupled with massive disinformation or propaganda campaigns, has caused the situation to go from bad to worse, according to the list released by the advocacy group Reporters Without Borders. Wednesday marks the 30th anniversary of the first World Press Freedom Day, which was created to remind governments of their duty to uphold freedom of expression. However, the environment for journalism today is considered bad in 7 out of 10 countries and satisfactory in only 3 out of 10, according to the RSF. The UN says 85% of people live in countries where the media freedom has declined in the past 5 years. The survey assesses the state of the media in 180 countries and territories, looking at the ability of journalists to publish news in the public interest without interference and without threats to their own safety. It shows rapid technological advances are allowing governments and political actors to distort reality and fake content even easier than ever before. The difference is being blurred between true and false, real and artificial, facts and artifices, jeopardizing the right to information, the report said. The unprecedented ability to tamper with content is being used to undermine those who embody quality journalism and weaken journalism itself. The report also said that artificial intelligence was wreaking further havoc on the media world, with AI tools digesting content and regurgitating it in the form of syntheses that flout the principles of rigor and reliability. This is not just written AI content, but visual too. High-definition images that appear to show real people can be generated in seconds. At the same time, governments are increasingly fighting a propaganda war. Russia, which already plummeted in the rankings last year after the invasion of Ukraine, dropped another 9 places as state media slavishly parrots the Kremlin line, while opposition outlets are driven into exile. Last month, Moscow arrested the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, and the first US journalist detained in Russia on espionage charges since the end of the Cold War. Meanwhile, 3 countries, Tajikistan, India and Turkey, dropped from being in a problematic situation into the lowest category. India has been in particularly sharp decline, sinking 11 places to 161 after media takeovers by oligarchs close to Narendra Modi. In Turkey, the administration of the hardline president Recep Tayyip Erdogan has stepped up its persecution of journalists in the run-up to elections scheduled for the 14th of May, RSF has said. Turkey jails more journalists than any other democracy. Nordic countries have long topped the RSF rankings, and Norway stayed in first place in Press Freedom Index for the 7th year running. But a non-Nordic country was ranked second, Ireland. The Netherlands returned to the top 10, rising 22 places following the 2021 murder of the crime reporter Peter R. de Vries. The UK was listed at 26. A 13-year-old boy opened fire in a Belgrade classroom in an apparently planned attack that killed 8 children and a school security guard, and injured a further 6 pupils as well as his teacher. Police named the shooter as Kosta Kecmanovic, said he had been a pupil at the school in the centre of the Serbian capital since 2019. They said he had used 2 of his father's guns for the shooting and may have been plotting the attack for a month. The head of the Belgrade police, Veselin Milic, said the teenager had also had 2 petrol bombs and had made a list of children he planned to kill and their classes. Milic said identifying the dead pupils as 7 girls and a boy born between 2009 and 2011. The sketch looks like something from a video game or from a horror movie, which indicates that he planned in detail by classes whom to liquidate, he added. The suspect, who was arrested in the school playground after confessing to the shooting, was led away with his head covered. He fired first at the security guard and 3 girls in a hallway, then walked into a history class and shot the teacher and 5 pupils. Serbia's Interior Minister, Bratislav Gašić, said the boy's father had also been arrested. The father had claimed the arms were locked in a safe with a code, but apparently his son had the code and took the pistols and 3 magazines with 15 bullets each. Education Minister Branko Ružić declared 3 days of mourning, and the Health Minister Danica Grujic, a neurosurgeon, wept as she called the events perhaps the most horrifying experience I have had as a doctor and as a human being. Mass shootings in Serbia and the wider Balkan region are extremely rare. None have been reported at schools in recent years. In 2013, a Balkan War veteran killed 14 people in the central Serbian village of Velika Ivanka. Serbia has very strict gun laws, and authorities have issued several amnesties for owners to hand in or register illegal guns. But experts have warned repeatedly about the danger from hundreds of thousands of illegal weapons left in the region following the wars and unrest of the 1990s. Councils can now apply for their share of £4.5 million to support the provision of after-school and holiday clubs for Scotland's most disadvantaged communities. The funding will help improve both indoor and outdoor spaces in the school estate, with schools also encouraged to consider wider community needs. First Minister Humza Yousaf set out details of the funding as he convened a national anti-poverty summit in Edinburgh today. The Scottish Government will provide a £4.5 million recurring capital fund managed and administered by Scottish Futures Trust to deliver improvements to the school estate that will support the provision of before and after school and holiday clubs within Scotland's most disadvantaged communities. The intention is that the fund will be limited to the school estate, both indoor and outdoor spaces, for year one, but schools will be encouraged to consider wider community needs and spaces where children want to be after school or during the holidays, particularly where links or partnerships already exist. The £4.5 million fund will be open to all local authorities who will be required to demonstrate how they have worked in partnership with school-aged childcare and activities providers to be ambitious in their ideas and to define projects which will deliver benefit for children and families, particularly those from low-income areas. Funded school-aged childcare is targeted at families on the lowest incomes, specifically the 6 priority family types identified in the Tackling Child Poverty Delivery Plan: lone parent families, minority ethnic families, families with a disabled adult or child, families with younger mothers under 25, families with child under 1, and larger families. A new approach to equip justice agencies with the skills and knowledge needed to reduce the re-traumatisation of victims and witnesses of crime has been published by the Scottish Government today. It underpins a key aim of the Victims, Witnesses and Justice Reform Scotland Bill, introduced last week, to embed trauma-informed practice across the justice system. The Trauma-Informed Justice and Knowledge and Skills Framework enables justice organisations to support victims and witnesses in ways in which minimise harm and re-traumatisation, support their recovery, and enable the most effective evidence gathering. Examples include making each step of the process as transparent and understandable as possible, and offering witnesses choices throughout the justice process. For example, on the gender of their interviewer, how they are communicated with by justice agencies, and providing information on the support they can access. The new way of working, which was developed by NHS Education Scotland as part of an overall package of £440,000 Scottish Government funding, will also provide organisations with the tools to develop and deliver training to their workforce. Justice Secretary Angela Constance said, "This framework will directly inform the changes within the Victims, Witnesses and Justice Reform Bill, which was introduced last week, and would put victims and witnesses of crime at the heart of the justice system and ensure justice agencies reduce re-traumatisation. For the justice process to work efficiently and to encourage people to report crime, victims and witnesses need to know how the services they encounter are designed to support and help them, and that those who work within those services listen to and respect their needs." Loch Long Salmon is in the early stages of planning and engagement for their project at Lurganish, between Appin and Durror, which would bring semi-closed containment salmon farming to Scotland for the first time. The project is expected to require a total investment of over £60 million, representing an exciting opportunity for local and regional businesses to get involved in consenting, construction and operational phases. Lochaber businesses are to hear about the supply chain opportunities of a semi-closed containment aquaculture project. An event is being organised in partnership with the Lochaber Chamber of Commerce, with businesses invited, both who currently work within the aquaculture sector as well as the possible new entrants to the sector. From the surface, a semi-closed containment site looks like a conventional open-net salmon farm, but underneath the water, the net is surrounded and protected by an impermeable barrier with water drawn up and circulated from deeper in the loch. This barrier removes the threat of sea lice and attacks by seals, meaning it won't ever use sea lice treatments or acoustic devices that can harm dolphins and other cetaceans. It also captures the salmon waste so that this can be brought ashore and used in green energy production or as a fertiliser ingredient. Hundreds of cycles of this technology in other countries have proven these facts, as well as showing no escapes. A joint UK-EU project to develop retrofit carbon capture solutions and other technologies for ships to reduce their emissions and fuel consumption has got underway. Although existing waterborne vessels provide the lowest contribution to the total European transport greenhouse gas emissions, international regulatory bodies such as the International Maritime Organization aim to reduce waterborne emissions even further. The Green Maritime Project, led by the Cyprus Maritime and Maritime Institute, brings together 10 partners from industry and academia from all over the UK and Europe, including the University of Strathclyde's Department of Naval Architecture, Ocean and Marine Engineering, who share the vision of providing a wider maritime community with effective and efficient ways of onboard retrofitting solutions leading to the decarbonisation of the maritime industry. The Green Marine team will develop retrofitting protocols and solutions to enable the future of shipping to be energy and fuel efficient, capture the carbon it emits to deacidify our oceans, and have closed air circulation systems that are virus-free. To aid the different stakeholders in their decision-making, a software tool catalogue will be made that gathers knowledge on these and other solutions. The project will demonstrate these tools and the innovative solutions on board Caledonian McGlynn CalMac vessels. Well, that is it for this evening, but before I go, I just want to remind you that here at Broadcasting Scotland, we depend on the generosity of our supporters, and so to everyone who has donated and to everyone who has signed up to make regular monthly payments, thank you very much. Our programmes will always be free to view, however, if you can afford £5 a month, please consider becoming a Broadcasting Scotland supporter. We have set ourselves a target of adding 10,000 new subscribers to enable us to employ staff to make more programmes. Good night, and thank you for watching.